Hey everyone, welcome. Professor Leis here. In this video, I want to review the Week 2 module, but before I do that, I want to review the Week 1 module because there's a lot of important things from the first week module that need to be completed in order for the things in the second week's module to make sense. And this is especially important because coming up, we're going to have some essay projects due, and we're going to begin working on our first major essay project this week. So it's really important that we're staying up to date with the schedule so that we don't fall behind. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first week module. Just real briefly, I want to review these things. So we have some key documents here that establish the policies, protocols, and the different sort of methods that we're going to use this semester. So in the syllabus, of course, if you haven't already read the syllabus carefully, that's something that you should have done early on last week in the first week. I have a video that basically what I do in this video is I walk you through the syllabus and explain the policies just like I would do if we were in a face-to-face class, like what we would do on the very first day of class. So it's really important that you watch that video for the syllabus so that you're aware of how this class will operate. So again, you're going to hear me use this phrase a lot this semester: set yourself up for success. You can't expect success to arise if you don't create the conditions for that success to occur, right? You need to do everything in your power to create that situation for success to flourish. Otherwise, how can you expect it to happen, right? So set yourself up for success. So key things: making sure that you're reading the welcome letter, the syllabus, and then going through the assessment and grading policy for our class. So just to reiterate, our class uses a different method of assessment and grading than what most of us are probably used to. So if you haven't read that assessment and grading policy, watch that explanation video within here. So if you click on this, you'll see that video in there. Super important that you do so, okay? So again, set yourself up for success. The first discussion post, the student introduction. So as I mentioned during week 1, any student who didn't complete this student introduction discussion post by January 15th, by Sunday, January 15th, I would have dropped those students to make room for any students who are hoping to add the course. So it's really important that we had completed that. So obviously that's past tense. And then if you didn't watch the first lesson on active reading in relation to the very first reading from Habits of the Creative Mind on learning from failure, you'll want to go and watch that. So one cool thing about our class, because we don't use points or a traditional grading system, I can't take any points away from you if you submit something late, for example, or if you complete something late. And that's on purpose, right? I want people to be able to complete the work in such a way where they're actually learning. And if it takes you a little bit more time to do that, that's fine, no problem. But again, it's really important that we're staying up to date with the calendar. We're not just kind of saying, oh, I'll do it later, and then it piles up, and then it's going to be a bad situation if that's the case, if we're doing that. So we want to stay up to date as best we can, but just know that we can submit things or complete things a little bit late if needed. So just keep that in mind. So any of the things that if we didn't complete any of the things from the week 1 module, you'll want to go back and do so before continuing on to the week 2 module. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the week 2 module. So remember, at the start of each module, I include this overview page. So you're going to want to get in the habit of clicking and checking this overview page at the start of each week and then returning to it throughout the week to make sure that you're completing all of the responsibilities for that given week. So let's go ahead and take a look here. All right, so Monday, January 16th, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, campus is closed. Have an excellent little quotation here about education from Martin Luther King Jr. He says, "The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character. That is the goal of true education." Wise words from a wise man. Okay, so here I broke down the responsibilities that we need to complete by midnight on Sunday, January 22nd. So that's the end of this week, the week second week. So the first thing that we want to do, we're going to want to go back to the student introduction discussion board. And I want you all to respond to the students who have asked you questions about your post or have commented on your post. A lot of you have been asking one another questions, so we want to go back and respond to those people. So you're going to want to just go back to that discussion board, go back to your post, look at any comments or questions that you may have received, respond to those comments or questions. This is a way for us to cultivate a learning community, right? So even though we're an online course, we're not meeting one another in person, we still want to try as best we can to cultivate that kind of supportive learning environment. And so this is one of the ways that we can do so. So once you've done that, we have 2 readings from Habits of the Creative Mind. The first reading is the very first essay from Habits of the Creative Mind. It comes in the first chapter called Orienting, and the essay is called On Finding Your Feet, and that's pages 1 through 7. So you're going to want to go through and using those things that we learned from the active reading lesson from week 1, you're going to want to go through, read this section, paying close attention to things that stand out to you as interesting, surprising, important, confusing, making sure that you have your pen or pencil ready so you can annotate as you're going through, jotting down notes, questions that may arise, defining vocabulary words, looking things up that are unfamiliar, whatever the case may be, to help you make sure that you're getting as much as you can from the reading. You're going to want to do that for both of these. So the second one it comes from the second chapter of Habits of the Creative Mind, which is called Beginning. And the essay in that chapter that we're looking at is On Unlearning, pages 21 through 27. So again, you want to make sure that you're applying those different strategies that we learned from the active reading video from last week for this one. So just a heads up, our second major essay project number 2, is going to deal explicitly with the ideas from Habits of the Creative Mind that we've read up until that point. So this is a way for you to make sure that you're actually getting enough from those readings, you're actually understanding the key concepts and ideas that in order to make that essay project run more smoothly for you. So annotating is a way of investing in your future. If you think about it, when we annotate, that means that we're kind of putting in all this work ahead of time so that when we come back to the reading, let's say a couple days later, a couple weeks later, whatever the case might be, we just need to remind ourselves of what that reading was about. We wrote all those notes down. We don't need to read the whole thing from start to finish. We just need to go back to those key things to kind of refresh our memories. It's going to help us a lot better. So invest in your future by annotating. Again, set yourself up for success. So just to clarify, each of these readings, when you go back out to the module, when you click on the one that says Read, Orienting on Finding Your Feet, for example, you're going to find a set of reading response questions that I really encourage you all to respond to in your notebook or just in a Google Doc or something like that. I'm not going to collect them. You're not going to submit them to me, but it's a way for you to make sure that you are setting yourself up for success. You're getting those key ideas from those readings. And again, it's going to help you with major essay project number 2. So do yourself a favor, invest in your future, set yourself up for success by looking at those, using those questions. I also have included a video in each of these sections of me basically going through, it's a screencast of me reading each of those sections. So if you don't have your book yet, say it's coming in the mail, for example, you still are able to stay up to date with the schedule because the readings are there. So once we've read those carefully, we've read and annotated those, then we're going to complete this object-text connection activity. And you're going to choose one of these 2 readings. You're not going to choose both, you're going to choose one. So either on Finding Your Feet or on Unlearning. So whichever one you think is more interesting to you, you're going to use that reading to complete this object-text connection activity. And there's an explanation video when you go out to the module, you can find an explanation video when you click on object-text connection activity. And then we want to make sure that we watch the explanation video for the prompt for major essay project number 1. We are beginning the process of working on this essay project this week. We're already starting. So it's really important that you go through, you listen to that video, watch that video, you read the prompt, you take notes. And if you have any questions about the prompt, you're not really sure, maybe there's something that you need a little bit more clarification on, send me a message, send me an email, ask your questions. I'm happy to respond. I want to make sure that you are learning as effectively as you can. So you're going to need to let me know if something isn't clear. And then finally, we have the practice session 1, an institutional autobiography, and that can be found on pages 25 and 26 of Habits of the Creative Mind. So this practice session comes after this reading up here. You notice that it's included in the page range here. So this practice session is step 1 for major essay project number 1. Okay, so there's an explanation video for this. If you click on it in the module, when you look at the assignment prompt for it, you'll see an explanation video there. So make sure that you watch that video before you complete the activity. So I understand that a lot of this might be stretching our limits here already. Welcome to college, y'all. This is college, so we're not messing around here. So I included a little cartoon comic strip here from one of my favorite comics. It's called, it comes from the Awkward Yeti, and this is Heart and Brain. So this is something about our comfort zones here. So go ahead and take a look at that on your own time. Get yourself a little chuckle, hopefully. But indeed, we are stretching the limits of our comfort zones, and that is necessary in order for us to learn. So I mentioned in that video last week about there's the comic in the overview for week 1. You know, those two figures, growth and comfort, and growth was telling comfort, look, it's just not going to work out, right? Because if we're comfortable, we're typically not learning or growing too much, right? It's that sweet spot where we're a little uncomfortable, things are a little unfamiliar, where we're actually learning and growing. So it's really important that we're there working in that sweet spot, that zone there. All right, y'all. Well, if you have any questions about any of these things from this module, feel free to message me. But we want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success. Don't save all this stuff till Sunday the 22nd to complete. That's going to be a bad idea because this is a lot of work, right? So spread the work out. Spread it out. Work on these things throughout the week. A little bit of time here, a little bit of time there. It's going to be a much smoother process than saving it all till Sunday night when you're like, dang it, I should have listened to Professor Leis. I really screwed myself here. So don't screw yourself here. Do yourself a favor. Put in the work, set yourself up for success. All right, y'all, take care.